One of the things I think about every time I do one of these videos is that as I'm drawing the head or I'm drawing a face and I get into the features, it's a lesson in itself. Like how to draw the eyes, the nose, the lips, how to draw the ears, how to do hair. All this stuff is a lesson in itself. So I decided to do a series of videos just based on drawing the features. And I'm talking over this video right now as I'm drawing the nose, but I'm going to go into a further breakdown as far as the construction of the nose. And in this short video, I'm going to talk about how you construct the nose. Like over here, I'm putting the nose together, and you won't see me do this in the videos where I'm drawing a person's face or drawing the head, because a lot of this stuff is stuff that I already know, and I think about this as I'm drawing the structure of the nose, the cartilage that the nose is built on. Like when you see a skull, you see the skeleton and you don't see this cartilage, but cartilage disappears as the skull begins to decay. So this cartilage is gone, and like with the skin and everything else, and what remains is just basically those two holes that you see in the skeleton. But that couldn't hold up the nose. The nose would just be flopping over your lips if that was the case. The thing is that the nose has a definite structure, and this is what I think about when I'm drawing the nose. I'm thinking of these structures that are underneath, and I'm drawing them. So I'm going to go ahead and skip on over. I'm going to speed this up a bit, and I'm going to skip to talking about the structure of the nose, talking about what we're actually looking at, or explaining it, really explaining. And as I'm speeding this up, and let me just mention that all of these lines and structures you're not going to see, and sometimes they're not all that necessary when you're drawing the features, because if you get too involved in one specific area, the story becomes about that specific area. When you're drawing the face, everything works with everything else, so you might not emphasize as much as what I'm going to emphasize here as I'm drawing the nose and the other features in the other videos. And this one is specifically on the nose. So, and then a lot of these lines are going to get lost, of course, and I'm going to go into modeling the nose and so forth. What you need to know is, even if you don't draw all these lines, is what's underneath and what the structure is that you're trying to represent here. So in just a few seconds, I'm going to finish modeling this nose, and I'm going to go right ahead into discussing the structure of the nose as I see it. Again, depending on the drawing, you're not going to see that much detail. So basically, what I'm drawing here first is the holes that you see representing the nose in the skeleton, right? That opening. And I don't have the Latin or technical names for these things, and I'm really generalizing here, just giving you an idea of the structure of the bone that underlies what you see in the nose, right? And of course, you don't see all this stuff. You don't see all this stuff. It gets covered up. You don't even see the things that are holding up the nose. But very carefully, like I'm trying to draw a representation of what the bone structure is, and then I'm going to draw on top of that. So it's of course, it's not that complicated. Everyone's seen it, and you can really generalize that. You don't have to get as specific as I'm trying to get over here, but I wanted to give as good an idea as I can of what the structure looks like. So I jumped on ahead into my drawing of the structure. Now, of course, after doing all of that, I got to lighten it because I want to be able to draw on top of this to show you how the cartilage attaches to the nose. And this is going to be like a 3/4 view. So you have these basically two structures right here. It's a hard cartilage that attaches itself to the nose, to the bone of the nose, and that really is just before you get to the bulb of the nose. That's really what separates the two sides of the nose right there. You see two pieces of cartilage that comes down, and I'm going to use this. And now the thing is that this is generalizing for everybody. This is different. There will be variations in this when you draw different people, and some of it be thicker, longer, shorter, some barely noticeable, some more bumpy. But this is basically the structure, that the piece of cartilage is basically what you see. And then you take all of this with a grain of salt. Here is the bulb part of the nose, and that also is divided into two. And there's a little slip that comes underneath it and rolls right back around and right into either side of the nostrils, right in the center of it. And sometimes you see when people draw a nose, they'll draw a little line right down the middle, like this, like the nose has its own cleft or whatever, and then that would be that line right in the center. And of course the two sides of the nose, what some people call the wings of the nose or whatever, but that lead right into the nostrils. And that basically the structure that the nose, that holds your nose up, right? Again, some people will be larger, some people will be smaller. It's all these different variations of the same structures. And there's more bones, or there's more cartilage than what you see here, but this generally is like the biggest things that you will take notice of, that would be enough to give you the structure of the nose. So let's do the nose from another angle right now. So I'm going to try and do a profile of the nose. The actual reference isn't exactly a profile, but it's good enough, right? So I'm going to start by drawing how that cartilage would appear looking at it from the side. And again, you see that the cartilage for the top of the nose, where it connects to like the bridge area of the nose, the bridge meaning the bridge between the nose and the eyes. And then that same bulbous shape, but everything is only one-sided now, right? My friend used to have this joke about profiles, saying that they were easy because you only need to draw one eye, one side of the nose, one side of the lip, one ear, and so forth. But the profile has its challenges, like to make sure that it doesn't look boring, that it looks interesting. And so I'm drawing this profile of the nose. Again, just working out the shapes, and so that I can understand the structure underneath. Again, not everybody has the same structure. There'll be different variations. There's like you can look around and look at people's noses and look at people's features and see that there's variation, in size and the width of the nose and so forth, and boniness of the nose. It just depends on the person. But this structure is something that everybody has to some degree or the other. Like there's some parts are emphasized more than others. Some parts it seems like it's hardly even there, but it is there. And this is actually what's holding the nose up, so it doesn't just flap over your lips. So this, again, this is just how it looks in profile, and this is the most important part in terms of showing you what I'm trying to show you in terms of how this particular feature is structured, right? And yeah, that's basically it. Apart from that, apart from drawing the structure, is just drawing the light and shade, and that's all. Even that is a different subject. Like that is, understanding the way light falls on an object. But the best thing at this juncture is what I'm trying to show is just to show the structure is. And then even when I put on the shading, it shows how this is covered, or how it's still there, but it's not as prominent as if you were to draw it all out like this, because obviously you don't see all of this. You don't see all these lines. You don't see this structure this pronounced. But you do, actually, that kind of depends, right? It kind of depends on the individual, and how, to see how pronounced these structures are. But they are there, and when you go over it with the lights and the darks, with the modeling of the form, it's still there. Probably not as prominent as if you were to draw it completely like this, but it's still there. So that part that I'm drawing now was the other side of the nostril. I could have left that out and got away with it if I wanted to, but I decided to put it in regardless, because it's there, and because you would probably come into a situation like that when you're drawing, and you can decide to either not put it in or to leave it in. It's up to you. But for this demonstration, I just decided to put that little piece in. I probably should not have done it, but what the heck, it still works as a nose. So once you understand the structure, you can begin to model the form using light and dark. Like, I like to make sure that all of this is worked out ahead of time, so that I know exactly how this nose, the particular character of this nose looks like. Because really these structures that I'm emphasizing here are what gives the nose its character, what gives the nose its shape. And it's the boniness of the nose, even though this is not bone, but that's what you see. So that when you draw the nose, what you're really doing is showing what the shape is like underneath. And that's how you draw the head, really. The head is really based on the skull and what particular skull this individual has, and how everything is built up on top of that. But the skull basically makes up the shape of the head. Like these individual features, this is the part of the skull that gives these individual features its character. And so this is it. This is even though you don't see this, once these bones have been in there a long time, the cartilage is the first thing to begin to decay from the skeleton. So that's gone by the time you see it. But this is what, like I said, what gives the nose its shape. And from the side, this would be what it would look like. So from a side point of view, this is what the nose looks like, and this is the shape of it. Lastly, I'm going to do this nose from the front point of view. And the pieces of the cartilage are still the same. They're like I said, it's just really depends on the individual as far as how pronounced that they are. And so just from person to person, these things change. It's good to keep in mind also, like, what I don't particularly enjoy about doing a drawing like this is I like to do like a nose or a feature in context with the rest of the face. It's hard to take one thing and just to draw that one thing. I guess it's easier to do it from like a plaster cast or something like that, but to do it just on its own, because the drawing can be a little off or whatever, but if you compare it to the rest of the face, then you can make your corrections accordingly. At least that's what I find. I find it's very difficult for me to isolate it and just draw it by itself. And there are really, I don't draw all of this when I start to draw a person's features. I don't start to emphasize I kind of feel that the cartilage is underneath. And so when you see me drawing, I don't put all of these lines down. They're just for me not necessary. I would probably block in the nose with the simpler shapes rather than do all of this kind of search for the structure underneath. But being that this video is about that, it's about what's holding the nose up, what is the structure of the nose underneath, so that we can understand the nose better. I'm putting these things, it's kind of like analyzing what's underneath. But if I were to draw it from life, or I would continue to draw this this particular nose or any person, I would not emphasize all of these structures. This is just a way of me teaching what's underneath, so that we would know instinctually, right? Because when I go to draw these things, like I said, the drawing is not about a person's nose. The drawing is about this particular person who happens to have a nose with whatever shape the nose is like, right? So I really wouldn't go into all of this. I'd probably just give it like a very, very general shape, an envelope of the shape that surrounds the nose, and build the features of the nose, build the nose within that particular shape. Kind of like when you do a head. You do the head, and then you built into that structure. Like you do the outline of the head, and you build into that structure to find the eyes, the cheekbones, the nose, the lips, and the ears. But you do it all within that structure, so that it all works together as a head, not as separate from it. So what I'm doing is breaking it down into even smaller parts here, and just trying to envelope the nose, and then breaking down that nose into the smaller structures that shape the nose, and particularly here the cartilage. So that's basically what I'm doing when I'm doing all this structure. Again, I don't do this when I draw, and I draw more freely than this, but keeping in mind that this is what the nose that I'm drawing is built of, right? It's built of all these individual cartilages. So as before, from here on in, I'm just speeding up the video, because the video is not about the lights and the darks, although it's instructional in terms of seeing what gets covered up, right? That you don't actually see all those lines that form the structure of the nose, but you feel that it's still there underneath. And to a lesser or greater extent, you do it according to the individual, right? In terms of emphasizing the boniness of the nose. If it's really a bony structure to the nose, and you would emphasize that. You would emphasize whatever the particular individual shows you, you know, from what you see. But it's a good idea to have this knowledge that you know what lies underneath what you're seeing, what you're viewing, because there's a whole structure that's holding this up. There's a whole like scaffold that's holding this up and giving it its shape. And so these are the structures that give the nose its shape, and it makes it easier to draw, because when you understand something, you can draw it a lot more easier than you know, just trying to find your way. So it's good to have this idea when you're drawing the nose, or when you're drawing any of the features, is what is it made of. So that's pretty much basically it. I'm glad you guys joined me for this video. You can see this is all the noses that I've drawn in this particular video. So I'm going to continue to do these features. I'm going to do it on all the individual features, the eyes, the ears, and so forth. I don't know if I'm going to string them all together one after another, but again, it will be here every Tuesday. So if you followed me, and I hope you enjoyed this video, if you followed me this long, if you liked it, please hit the like. And also, if you want to continue to watch more videos like this, definitely subscribe. I will be back with another video on Tuesday. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.